A spring in medieval France has been pushing 82 gallons of water out of the ground every single second for centuries. Multiple divers went down looking for the source. Not all of them came back up. A hill in Australia has been burning underground for 6,000 years, and nobody knows what lit it or how to stop it. And right now, beneath the North Sea, scientists have found enormous buried structures doing something that every law of physics says is completely impossible. These are 10 geological formations that have stumped every expert who has ever studied them, and not one of them has a satisfying explanation. Number 10. The Manicouagan Arc, Hudson Bay, Canada. Look at a satellite map of Hudson Bay, and one thing immediately stands out. The southeastern shoreline forms an almost perfect semicircle stretching about 450 kilometers across. Now, that's a very strange shape for nature to produce. So naturally, scientists wondered if a giant asteroid had slammed into Earth and carved out the arc. For a while, that was the leading theory. Then things took a turn. Scientists backed away from the asteroid idea because the evidence simply did not hold up. Instead, many now believe the shoreline was slowly shaped by moving ice and erosion over millions of years. Here's the problem. Those forces still do not fully explain why the curve is so unbelievably clean. So after all these years, one question still refuses to go away. If an asteroid didn't carve out this giant arc, then what did? Number 9. Dallol, Ethiopia. Dallol, in northern Ethiopia, is one of the most hostile places on Earth. Some of its hot springs reach a blistering 109 degrees Celsius, and many are so acidic that their pH is close to zero. Nothing should be able to survive there. But that's exactly what scientists have been fighting over for years. One research team went in and found microscopic life living in the extreme pools. Another team went back to the same place and said, "No, there's nothing alive here." The debate is still unresolved, and this is why it matters. Scientists are using Dallol to find the exact point where an environment becomes so hot, acidic, and salty that life can no longer survive, not even the toughest microbes. That answer could shape the instruments we send to search for life on Mars and other worlds. So this boiling pit of acid on Earth might actually be our best guide to finding alien life. Number 8. East Haddam, Connecticut. People living in East Haddam have been hearing strange booming and cracking sounds coming from underground since the 1600s. But the mystery is even older than that. Long before Europeans arrived, the Wangunk people had already given the area a name, Machimutus, which means place of bad noises. That tells us these unexplained sounds were happening hundreds of years ago. So, what is causing them? Geologists discovered a constant cluster of tiny earthquakes beneath the area. At first, that seemed like the answer. But there is one big problem. Those earthquakes are simply too small to produce sounds as loud as the ones people describe. Scientists say it would take much stronger seismic activity to create booming noises like these. So, after hundreds of years, the source of the sounds is still unknown. Number 7. Tonnerre Spring. In the town of Tonnerre, France, there is a spring that has been pouring out an enormous amount of cold water for as long as anyone can remember. Around 82 gallons surge out every single second into a circular pool surrounded by a medieval stone wash house built in the 1200s. Impressive? Definitely. But the real mystery is that nobody knows where all that water comes from. People have been trying to find the source for centuries. In 2019, diver Pierre-Eric Desagne descended about 370 meters into the flooded cave system, farther than anyone had ever gone before. And he still never found where the water begins, so he turned back. Other divers who tried before him were not as lucky. Several entered the cave and never came back. That is why the local legend has survived for centuries. People say a giant serpent lives at the bottom of the spring, guarding whatever lies below. Is the serpent really there? Maybe, maybe not. But after all this time, nobody has reached the end of the spring to prove otherwise. So, what do you think? Number 6. Ringing Rocks. In a quiet field near Upper Black Eddy, Pennsylvania, hundreds of giant boulders are hiding a very strange secret. Strike one with a hammer, and it rings like a bronze bell. In fact, almost every boulder in the field makes the same clear metallic sound. People have been fascinated by these rocks for generations. Back in 1890, a band leader named J.J. Ott took the mystery to another level. He brought an actual brass band into the field and performed an entire concert using nothing but the rocks as musical instruments. The boulders are made of an ordinary volcanic rock called diabase, a hard, dark rock found in many parts of the world. There is nothing unusual about the rock itself. But here is where the mystery begins. Identical diabase boulders found just outside this field sound completely dead when you hit them. So, why do the ones in that field ring? Geologists believe the ringing may be caused by built-up stress trapped inside the rocks. The problem is, that still does not explain why only this one field rings. The answer may be hidden inside the rocks themselves. So far, nobody has been able to prove what it is. Number 5. Burning Mountain. There's a hill in New South Wales, Australia, that has been burning underground for about 6,000 years. That makes it the oldest known underground coal fire on Earth. When the first European geologist arrived to investigate in 1829, he was convinced he had found a volcano. He was absolutely wrong. The fire was coming from a massive underground coal seam. It had already been burning for thousands of years, long before the Egyptian pyramids were even finished. And somehow, it is still spreading. The fire slowly moves through the coal at about 1 meter every year. The ground above it is scorched and barren. In some places, it is hot enough to feel through your shoes, and smoke still rises through cracks in the earth. So, how did it start? That is the mystery. Scientists have suggested everything from a lightning strike to the coal catching fire on its own. But after thousands of years, nobody has been able to prove what really started the fire. Today, the entire area is a protected nature reserve. Australia basically looked a fire that has been burning since before the pyramids and said, yeah, let's just leave that alone. Number 4. Boiling Lake, Dominica. Right in the middle of a rainforest in Dominica sits the second largest boiling lake in the world. The water around the edges stays between 82 and 92 degrees Celsius. The center is hidden beneath so much steam that scientists cannot even measure its temperature. They believe the lake sits above a flooded fumarole, a crack in the Earth's crust, where rainwater collects directly over a volcanic system. So, you would expect the lake to stay exactly where it is. It doesn't. More than once, the entire lake has simply disappeared. In 1880, after a nearby steam explosion, the water vanished and left behind nothing but a hot, steaming hole. Then something unbelievable happened. The lake came back. In 1901, it nearly emptied again. And somehow, it came back again. In 2004, part of the lake drained without any warning. Scientists still cannot predict when it will happen again, what triggers it, or even where all that water goes when the lake disappears. Apparently, even lakes need a little time away every now and then. Number 3. The Fire Eagle's Nest, Siberia. Deep in the remote wilderness of Siberia sits a giant cone-shaped mound about 35 meters high and 80 meters across, made entirely of broken limestone rocks piled on top of one another. It looks almost like a giant eagle built an enormous nest in the middle of the forest. The local Yakut people had a name for it long before scientists arrived. They called it the Fire Eagle's Nest, and for generations, they refused to go anywhere near it. When Russian geologist Vadim Kolpakov first documented it in 1949, even he had no idea what he was looking at. By studying the growth rings of nearby trees, scientists concluded the mound likely formed sometime between 250 and 500 years ago. Before then, this giant stone mound simply was not there. Then, sometime within the last few centuries, it appeared. As if that wasn't strange enough, one story claims a geologist who set out to study the mound in 2005 died of a heart attack before he could even reach it. Whether that was just a tragic coincidence or not, nobody knows. The trees surrounding the mound have another secret. Their growth rings are abnormal, suggesting something disturbed the way they developed. Scientists have tested one explanation after another. It is not a confirmed meteorite crater, not a confirmed volcano, and not a confirmed gas explosion. So, a massive stone mound appeared in the middle of the Siberian wilderness just a few centuries ago, and nobody can explain how it got there. Yeah, Siberia can keep that one. Number 2. The Bangui magnetic anomaly. Hidden beneath the Central African Republic is the largest known magnetic anomaly on Earth. It is so powerful that it throws compasses off across an area, stretching hundreds of kilometers. Scientists have even mapped it from space. So, what is causing it? Right now, there are 3 leading theories. It could be a massive deposit of iron-rich rock buried underground. It could be the remains of an ancient asteroid impact that left behind a huge metallic mass. Or it could be unusually dense material from deep inside the Earth that has risen much closer to the surface. There is just one problem. None of those explanations has ever been confirmed. So, something enormous is buried beneath Central Africa, and it is powerful enough to distort Earth's magnetic field. Whatever is causing it, we still have no idea what it really is. Number 1. The North Sea sinkites. Our number 1 mystery today comes from 2025, when scientists discovered something beneath the North Sea that should not exist. In a peer-reviewed study, researchers mapped enormous buried structures where younger, heavier sand had somehow sunk into older, lighter layers of sediment. That is backwards. One of the most basic rules of geology says heavier material should not sink into lighter material like that. Yet, somehow, it did. The discovery was so shocking that scientists had to create an entirely new geological category just to describe it. They called these strange formations sinkites, a name that did not even exist before this study. And these are not small. Together they cover roughly 19,000 square miles beneath the seafloor. So, what caused them? Scientists are still trying to figure that out. Whatever happened beneath the North Sea forced them to rethink one of geology's most basic assumptions. And somehow, the biggest mystery on this list was hiding under the seafloor the whole time.